just tore it up. This Ford is up. The cup is full.
On this day in 1867, one of the most prestigious HBCUs was founded. That's right, if you do, Howard University. This historically black university was founded in 1867 in Washington, D.C. on March 1st. I bet you didn't know that it was also named after General Otis Howard, who led the Freedmen's Bureau during the post-Civil War era. General Howard's influence led Congress to allocate funds for the establishment of this university. Although Howard University has always been open to students of any race, creed, or color, it was founded with a special obligation to provide advanced studies for Black individuals. This university is financially supported in large part by the U.S. government, but it's privately controlled. Over the years, Howard University has played a significant role in higher education and it has produced some of the most notable alumni who have made major contributions to many fields. Kamala Harris, who graduated from Howard University, made history by becoming the first HBCU graduate to hold the office of Vice President of the United States in 2020. All right, guys, I want to thank everybody for tuning back into the Bobby Beez podcast. I want to thank any new viewers, but let's rewind it. Last episode, I stated that we will be taking one question and we will be turning it into an episode. So let me read you the question that I received for this week. Hey, Bobby Beez, when should I have the Birdz and the Beez talk with my kids? And how early should I start? I think most of us have kids that are getting into that age where they're starting to be curious. Some of us have kids that aren't there yet, but we don't know how to actually have that talk with them. First, we got to be open and honest with these conversations when it comes to relationships, sex, sexuality, what's right, what's wrong. These discussions are crucial for our youth's well-being. As a parent or a caregiver, we play a major role. Like, we play a vital role in providing damn near accurate information. And we got to be positive about it. Like, we have to be positive towards these topics because it's going to happen sooner or later. You'd rather these conversations take place at the home than somewhere else, because trust me, I've been a kid before. These conversations are happening with friends. They're happening with even, other family members and not knowing it just by hearing grown-ups conversations. But you want to be the first one to have these talks with your youth, with your kids. So what I did some research. I took some of my life experiences. I took some of my friends' life experiences, and I made a little list of things that I feel a parent should, I'm not going to say do, but I feel like a parent should take some of these topics or take some of these suggestions and make them your own, because at the end of the day, it is still your decision as the parent on when to have these conversations. And sometimes these conversations aren't easy. You want to have these conversations, early. You want to keep these conversations going. You just don't want to have one conversation and that's it. You want these to be ongoing talks that you're having with your kids. You want to begin the conversations as early as possible, as early as you see fit to have these conversations. And, you also want to keep these conversations going once they get older. You want to be proactive rather than reactive. How today is, relationships, sex, and sexuality are everywhere. So, you rather be proactive than reactive. Like, you rather try not to put that conversation off versus you sitting down with your husband or you sitting down with your wife or girlfriend or co-parenting and you all deciding on when is the best time to have this conversation. You also want to answer their questions directly. You know, you want to find a way to articulate what you want to say before saying it, because trust me, once kids hear something, they roll with it and they're going to make sure, and you want to make sure that all the information that you're giving your kids, when you're talking about the birds and the bees, you want to make sure you're giving them the right information. You want to be approachable. Be that person that your child feels comfortable with, you know, when they need advice. You know, that's one of the main reasons kids hear about these topics outside of the home, because us as parents, we don't want to think that far ahead. We don't want to think about our kids having sex. You know, I don't, but it is what it is, because my mom had to go through that. Your parents had to go through that. So at the end of the day, we just have to woman up, man up, and, you know, be that person for our kid when we need to have those conversations. You know, make them feel comfortable. Make sure to keep these conversations casual and authentic. You know, don't hit them with the formal lecture, because one thing with kids, just because you're telling them not to do it, there's a good chance they're going to do it. All of us were kids. All of us had those situations where our parents, someone of authority, grandparents, someone told us not to do it, and we did it anyway, instead of having conversations with us on why we weren't supposed to do it, or, you know, this could be good if X, Y, and Z took place. So make sure make sure your conversations are casual and authentic. You know, you don't want that lecture shit, like, not at all. You could also use everyday situations to initiate these discussions. We have to use the correct terminology when describing these body parts. This reduces the embarrassment and nervousness when you're talking to your kid. You know, we have to use the correct terminology, although some of the slang terminology almost seems as if that's the actual name of that body part. But, you know, it helps, especially when discussing private body parts. We have to use the correct terminology. So none of those terms, like none of that. Also, when you're talking about the birds and the bees, make sure you cover a broad range of topics, you know, beyond the basics. You know, discuss puberty, discuss relationships, discuss consent, sexual health, you know, discuss the diversity of gender and sexuality. You know, we have to, as parents, we have to start our children off right when it comes to relationships, consent, sexual health, because you can become an adult and those three things can fuck up your whole thought process when it comes to sex, when it comes to relationships, you know, when it comes to anything. Like, those things need to be taught more to our youth when it comes to sex. Like, yes, at the end of the day, sex is a beautiful thing. You know, it happens. But we don't want that shit to happen if we don't have the consent. Like, that's real shit. Like, that shit is not cool. It's not cool. It's fucking sick. If a man or a woman does not give you consent, fucking walk away. Turn away. Address issues related to values, boundaries, and healthy behaviors. You know, that falls back to what I said before: relationships, consent, sexual health. You know, you need to, the values that you have in your house, everyone has a few of those same values, but everyone has different values in their home. Make sure you're using those good values when it comes to the consent, the sexual health, and the relationships. Make sure you establish ground rules. You know, you want to set clear guidelines about sexual behavior within the house and outside of the house. Like, you don't want to have these positive conversations. Both the parent and the kid are having good dialogue, but then the kid gets to school and his conversation goes from Birdz and the Beez to OnlyFans. Go check out that episode. But, you know, you want to emphasize your values such as respect, empathy, and responsibility. Make sure that you set those guidelines. Those guidelines will become important at the end of the day. And my last suggestion for the viewer that sent in the question about the Birdz and the Beez: we have to be sex positive. We have to present sexuality with a positive approach. You know, we have to emphasize values like inclusion, non-discrimination, and equality. We have to also reinforce healthy attitudes about our bodies, our relationships, our family life, and family values. Because remember, you know, avoiding these conversations, it won't prevent our kids from having sex or keeping themselves safe. Having these conversations, having these discussions, it will give them the tools to be more responsible with their choices as they enter into adulthood. You know, listen to your kid, keep listening to your child, you know, keep that conversation going, those series of discussions going. It will empower them vastly to navigate relationships and sexuality in a healthy and positive way. So, with that being said, I want to thank you viewers again for tuning in. Any new viewers, thank you for checking me out. Go back and look at the other 4 episodes. Once again, if you have advice that you want to give me, or if you want advice from me, Bobby Bands, make sure you email me at the email address below. I will go through the questions. I look at emails every day. I get questions every other day, but I just want to thank you guys again for tuning in. I will see you guys Monday. Peace.
Damn it, Bobby.